Hi, welcome guys. Welcome to my MBTI channel. This time talking about ISTP. Talking about ISTP, basically is really annoying MBTI. One of the MBTI for me. Sorry, but I mean annoying. It means much more like all my experience wise. I met a lot of ISTP. I mean, always I'm trying to keep a good relationship with the people who with a TI function, yeah, since they are much more compatible with me. But at the same time, with the ISTP, sometimes I feel sometimes really annoying, especially when we're trying to prove that like our perceiving function that we use the same way to perceive, but we have a different way of judgment in the end, like itself. I need to hear all the explanations of it. Sometimes it's really annoying. But yeah, anyway, it's like the time for me to talk about you. So, huh, yeah, I'll just talk about whatever I understand about you, and it's like from my perspective, and would it be different from other people like golden pen? Yes, it'll be different, but it would be basically because of like our focus on our life itself is like different. It come from here. So just to let you all to know about it, and yeah, let's start it for today. So basically ISTP. So let's go down like according to the energy level and the function level as well. So firstly, it's the introverted thinking. So basically, your thinking is much more focusing onto like a line. So everything needs to be like a why and outcome. So why this happened. So this because of this happened, so this happened. Why this will happen, and like why always the why questions that you build up the whole system coming out all together. So it's like a line that crumble all together. SE, the second function, the parents function with the extroverted sensing. So basically, it's like for you to act onto what you are thinking. So what's your judgment to it? So with a thinking, okay, why this is correct, why this is false, and after trying error here and there, and usually like ISTP have a very strong way of sense or like to solving problems or like to find a way to make everything looks beautiful or reasonable. Yeah, that's the ISTP. Yeah, but it's much more like for them to perform like with their physical body. So that's why they are also much more concrete and grounded as well. Yeah. So next we go to the child function. The child function is the NI function. So basically, same with the ISFP. So ISFP, like the child function is like to choose. But when we come to choosing on the child function itself, it doesn't mean that they are always like really clear what they are choosing for the future, or like they are not really clear which one they should choose for the future. So today I was talking with ISFP, so it's something like for their child function. So that's why I'm like putting it in. So somehow like he mentioned something like sometimes when I'm trying to understand when I'm doing some choice, if like A for yes, B for no is like a very easy answer because it's much more like one I'm gaining and another one I'm not gaining. But sometimes the choice itself is coming to like A you will gain something and B you gain something else, and it don't sound like you're losing something. So during that time it will be like a little bit difficult for you because like why, like same as the ISTP, why, because like sometimes you don't have a clear goal onto it. Yeah, especially when for the ISTP it's not something that is good or bad, there's something like much more like this is correct, another one is correct as well. So during that time, ISTP will try to understand the logic and try to give a reason by themselves. If both of the reason working, then there will be much more frustrating. So during that time, they need somebody to step into it as well. And the fifth function for the ISTP is the FE. So basically, it's like extroverted feeling, other people's feeling, and they can't live without other people's like emotional feedback. But at the same time, they are sucks at giving this kind of interaction to other people. So a lot of time when you are looking at the ISTP, when they are trying to emphasize that they are correct, they are not wrong, like people are not supposed to challenge her logic, like his or her logic, you will just start to see he or her start to be a little bit emotionally manipulative. But at the same time, just be mindful what was their first thinking onto it? Is that true and false? And it's much more onto the intellectual part. So do they really feel guilty onto it? No. Do they feel bad onto it? No. Do they realize that they're doing something that will make other people really feel stressful? No, they don't feel it. And that's the point. Because they don't feel it, so that's why they are able to do it. So next is the nemesis. So basically, I call it the opposite parents. So here is the extroverted thinking. So it somehow already means that in the shadow, the most powerful thinking, the most powerful function that they can use for the ISTP is the extroverted thinking. So basically, you can see it like and making everything like right here, they can just make everything a reason like why and why, and they can try to make it into a structure, but with a very minor like a power. So usually, if you're trying to tell them to make everything structurized, they would be very easily going into tired. But once they get into that shadow, and they can get into the mood, get into the flow, yeah, they can make it really well. Next, go to their critics. So critic function is the introverted sensing. So basically what does it mean? It means the comfort zone. If I don't feel comfortable, basically everybody else dies. So let's see, like the extroverted and introverted sensing combined with the extroverted feeling itself is like basically kaboom combinations. And the kaboom combinations right here is basically a ISFJ or we can understand as a ESFJ. So basically, it's much more like when you are being immature and you are trying to break down, yeah, because of like outer information and suddenly they making you to broke down and you crush hard. Yes, that's the feeling for the ISTP to suddenly become a little bit violent. Yeah, that's how it feels right here. And there's the introverted sensing because other people is not giving me like the comfortable way of for me to act onto it. So I would just start to be like start to prove onto like my way of thinking and everything. Yeah, that's like how they experience things and they think to make it work, and that's how they come into it. And they try to do the rule. They will try to be the ruler, so they will start to set all the laws or whatever, like the rules and regulation for you to follow. And next, we have the ignorant function, which is extroverted intuition. What does it mean? Creativity, they are sucks. Yeah, basically, it's like so bad, usually for their creativity. So, a lot of time for ISTP, if you're asking them to be imaginative, no, you don't like it. Yeah, it's nothing good for them to do imaginative. So for ISTP, it is better for them to experience a lot of things, or else like if they miss out any of the chances or like possibilities, a lot of time they will just like intellectually I understand, but I never believe you because I never experienced it. I never had to perform on to this kind of problem, so I don't need to deal with it. Yeah, that's much more the ISTP issue and like oh shit, I wrote something wrong. But yeah. So there's the ISTP way of like interaction onto it. So and the last one is the FI. So demonic FI. So what it means, my true feeling, they coming from the demon itself, or after being used a lot and it grows mature and it will become angel. But before that, it's like a demon of my own value. So just now already explained, they will just come from the fear function. So coming from a fear function, suddenly feel that everybody is not cherishing me, like whatever I'm doing right, they are claiming that I'm doing wrong. So I can burn everything down, yeah, and using my own value and trying to expand onto it. And there's like a ISTP way of like trying to bombing everybody. So a lot of time, like when you're trying to talking with ISTP, you will find out the issue is that they are keep on talking and they will never stop, even though like their issue is maybe just like a really quick. Maybe they can just finish it the whole meeting within 5 minutes. And if everybody is like honest enough, yeah, sure, we can just end it within 5 minutes for sure, including Q&A. But just by themselves, they want to explain the whole situation. They want to start with their grandmother's story, then come to their mother's story, then their father's story, then come to their own story, then go to their daughter's story and their son's story. Everything just keep on like talking in the end, and it would just spend 3 hours, and it's nothing special if you are trying to talking with ISTP. Intellectually, they would just know that they are not supposed to keep on talking, but at the same time, for them, like whatever they are talking is like so important and also so true for them, so they can't stop and they can't help, and they just keep on talking and talking, and without realizing that they are burdening other people. Yeah. At the same time, it's like a ISTP way of like a thinking itself, and that's a very big issue in it, because like a ISTP TI is like always focusing on to the true and false. So because within the statement of true and false itself is always like trying to say that, okay, my accurate database and my understanding onto it. Yeah. So a lot of times it coming in this way, and yeah. So that's why usually ISTP. Yeah, I'll just say that. Yeah, if you can't really handle their emotion, yeah, don't really just easily step into it. But actually, ISTP they also have a way for you to deal with them. Is that basically, in a sense, be a child. Yeah, just easy. Be a child. Give them like a power for them to just, yeah, for them to just react into whatever way, and you just cooperate. Yeah, somebody would just say that play along with them, but I don't want to use that term. But it's something like you're trying to, yeah, just acknowledge what they are thinking, and you can try to ask more like what is like what it is like going to links towards to, like maybe you can ask more like a what question instead of why question. You will be like, okay, oh, so you're talking about like these kind of ideas, and you make it structurized, and what if like this happened, what if that happened, and it will just trigger their minds more, so they will explain more, but at the same time you will just find out that they will be much more into their ego, which means they are much more stable, and they are not like in stable mode that they will just suddenly happy and unhappy. No, like when you try to put them into like their ego mode, actually they will be much more stable, and they will be much more getting into their thinking, and they will be much more intellectual as well. So it will be better if you're dealing with an ISTP and you're trying to talk with them, but with a preparation of like hours. And usually ISTP, they are not like a totally stupid. When I mean stupid is like they don't study anything. They study a lot, but at the same time, when you're asking them to do explanation to some certain thing, like in a really quick sense, they can't. So that's why a lot of time when you're trying to talk with an ISTP, chill down. Your time is no longer your time. Yeah. So if you're not prepared for this, yeah, don't talk. Yeah. I mean, just as easy as that. Yeah. There's the ISTP. But they can be a good motivator, to be honest. They can be. Just that you need to prepare, yeah, for yourself. And this for the ISTP, and let's try to look at their grouping itself. So they are being put into auditions. I already explained they will just try to keep on proving the things like true and false, true and false, true and false. So they will just eventually find a way to perform something, which is their first parents function. So it's much more like easy for them to really enjoy the process. Yeah, that's the artisan way, and they are much more into concrete, at the same time pragmatic, and they move by interest. It's not a system, but interest. And so pragmatic itself, it just means that, okay, what is much more pro reality. When we means pro reality, usually it means that the dark truth or said, or we say it's much more like a sad but true moment. Yeah. Yeah, it usually come in this way, but yeah, it just usually come. And next we go to the communication type. So basically ISTP, they are being dropped underwear is finisher. So as we already see, so basically ISTP, they have a very strong ability for them to just keep on trying to making everything sounds reasonable, at the same time making everything like trying to find whatever like a box that you didn't thought about like inside the system. They are good at it. So that's why they are being like a label as the finisher right here. and they are talking much more direct, because once they start to be informative, they will be not stop, and they are responding. So which means if you suddenly give a wrong data sheet, then they will react like a really aggressively. But before that, they don't react. So you know what means responding. They don't show true data. They will try to correct other people's wrong data. So, and another thing is that the movement, so it's not really going with control. So it means that, okay, if they have more experience in their life, they will just change their standards, and they will change their way of understanding things. But at the same time, because just a reminder for you, this is like a very painful way for you to face all your judgment within yourself, and because it's like the way of your performance will be changed, and the way you are trying to interact with other people will be changed, and even your mind, how you're thinking about the relationship itself, everything gonna change really quickly. So, and it's basically it's really no mercy and changing everything, hit it really hard onto your life. And because of it, so usually actually ISTP don't really change that quick. They would only change emotionally, but it's not something like, oh, I would just change my judgment and say that, okay, right now I'm not no longer judging on anybody else. It just don't work. It just don't work. So they go with the movement, so it's not something like on control. So yeah, that's basically the ICP. So let's try to look at their optimistic function. So as you can see, if we just go across this line, going above, so basically PI and that line, so it's much more like they like to choose and try to prove that this correct, this wrong. Yeah, this much more the ISTP way. But at the same time, the pessimistic function will be SC and FE. So basically, is that when they are needed to do performance, or they are needed to feel other people's feeling, they don't have the confidence onto it as well. So if you are trying to let ISTP to do something like a very good job in their work, I mean, if you're asking them to do it happily, throw them to do onto something like a do improvement here and there analysis. Yeah, and if you are trying to asking them to be a little bit much more careful onto some certain issues, you much more focus onto their performance, and as well as like how they react onto other people's emotion. Yeah, so basically that's the ISTP for today, and basically I think I did it quick, and like it will be sufficient enough for everyone to understand whatever content inside for today. Yeah, so this is the ISTP. Yeah, and I hope you all just enjoy it. And yep, see you all in my next video. Peace. Bye bye.